Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Lin Tian feels the ups and downs of life. It's too exciting. He hasn't slowed down yet. That I stayed in the mountains in the remote areas and studied traditional Chinese medicine for 20 years with the old master. It was not easy for him to let himself go out of the mountains to practice medicine, but unexpectedly he let himself go to Yanjing Medical University to be a teacher. The descendants of Yao Wangzong for 10 generations, which of the predecessors has not traveled around the world and become a famous doctor admired by the world? How come I'm the 11th generation? I can't save people when I'm out of the mountain, but I stay in one place to teach a group of little farts. Doesn't he know that when he is a teacher, the school needs a teacher's certificate? What's more, I never thought that I would promote TCM as a teacher. If teaching could make TCM prosperous, I could do it decades ago. Would it be so lifeless now that a group of ignorant people clamor to abolish it? Alas! I don't know what the old fool thinks. Sitting on the plane to Yanjing, Lin Tian looked out of the window at the undulating clouds, sighed and muttered, looking at the scenery outside the window for a while. Lin Tian looks back and feels sleepy. He raises his hand to untie the seat belt around his waist and intends to wash his face, but when he stood up, the original broadcast of light music, suddenly came the announcer's anxious voice. A passenger has an emergency. Which passenger is the medical staff? Please come to the first class and help us to rescue. Hearing the emergency call for help, Lin Tian suddenly looks like a Lin. His sense of sleepiness disappears. He jumps to the middle of the corridor, turns around and quickly walks towards the special class. Before he came out of the mountain, Lin Tian often went out to practice medicine with his master. This is not the first time that he has met such a good opportunity. How can he give up? As the radio goes round and round, the originally quiet economy class becomes noisy. Many passengers unfasten their seatbelts and approach the special class. There are real medical staff and curious passengers in the crowd. The flight attendants, who had already been deployed, kept in front of the special class to check the medical staff's work documents, while stabilizing the passengers in the cabin, in case of chaos and out of control. Please line up consciously, don't crowd. Medical staff, please show your ID. Medical staff, please return to your seat, don't watch. A beautiful young steward, wearing blue professional clothes and a thin face, came out of the special class cabin and yelled to the crowd who hugged the door. This time, Lin Tian had already been one step ahead of others and went to the special cabin door. Where is the patient? Lin Tian asked directly. The beauty steward looked up at Lin Tian. This gentleman, please show me your medical certificate. If not, please return to your seat. I don't have a medical certificate, but I'm a doctor. Lin Tian said frankly, especially the word doctor, with an unquestionable confidence in his voice. I'm sorry, you can't go in without a certificate. Unless you can prove that you are a medical worker, you can only go back to your seat. Lin Tian's tone makes the beauty steward feel uncomfortable. Xiaomei frowns slightly and says unhappily. Proof. Lin Tian talks about it, but his eyes stop on the pretty face of the beautiful steward for a long time. Lin Tian knows that if he can't get the trust of the beautiful steward in front of him, he can't get into the door of the special class. He doesn't have any certificates, so he can only use medical skills to prove his identity. The beauty steward noticed that Lin Tian was staring at him, and his face was even more unhappy. When he was about to open his mouth to scold, he was robbed by Lin Tian. Are you cold and hot, weak and sometimes accompanied by slight abdominal pain? Well. You, how do you know? After hearing Lin Tian's words, the beautiful steward was stunned. When she reacted, she couldn't help but scream. After just looking at her illness for a while, she knew that she was sick. It was so amazing that she had already lost her unhappiness. I said, I'm a doctor. Lin Tian said. The corner of his mouth showed an imperceptible smile. Yes, what can be cured? The beauty passenger long held back the shock in her heart and asked carefully. In the traditional Chinese medicine store, buy some angelica and ginger soup, brew and take, 3 times a day, drink 3 days in a row can be cured. Lin Tian said with a slightly upturned mouth and a charming smile, "Can I go in now?" "Of course, of course." "Thank you." The beautiful stewardess slowly came to Lin Tian with a shy smile, turned and pushed the cabin door open to lead Lin Tian on the way. Lin Tian is not in a hurry to keep up, but looks thoughtfully at the back of the beautiful steward. His face is too tender, and his buttocks are not cocky enough. Compared with his own standard, he is a big step behind him. Thinking of this, Lin Tian puts away his careful thinking, shakes his head, and goes after him step by step, following the beautiful steward. As soon as he entered the special class cabin, Lin Tian saw 6 or 7 men with small signs on their chests in the cabin, surrounded by a middle-aged man with some baldness. They all frowned and were immersed in the conversation of diagnosis. He did not notice Lin Tianjin. "Sir, these doctors, like you, have just diagnosed the patient. Would you like to check with them about the patient first?" The beautiful steward turned back and said to Lin Tian. "No, take me to see the patient." Lin Tian glanced at the doctors, shook his head and said, "This way, please." Lin Tian keeps on walking, following the guidance of the beautiful steward, and quickly comes to the patient who is in an emergency. It's the old man who is in an emergency. Dr. Chu won't let him move. Lin Tian looked at the old man lying on the ground and frowned. The old man's white eyebrows were trembling, his face was red and purple, his teeth were closed, his hands were clenched, and his limbs were twitching. Every time he waved, the old man would make a dull groan. Lin Tian squatted down, grabbed the old man's wrist and began to feel his pulse. Just when Lin Tian was cutting his pulse, the group of doctors not far away looked at Lin Tian one after another, with a look of hostility on their faces, as if Lin Tian had robbed their patients. Lin Tianxin felt the old man's pulse without any distractions. After a while, his brows stretched out a lot. He loosened the old man's wrist and stood up. Just at the moment when he gets up, Lin Tian suddenly feels several ways of peeping with slight hostility. He can't help but frown and turn his head to look in the direction of hostile eyes. Years of practicing Taoist healthcare make his senses extremely sensitive. Especially before he left the mountain, Taoist healthcare has entered the 3rd level. As long as you calm down and use some means, you can easily feel any movement of tens of meters around him. Although he will be very tired every time, this feeling is extremely wonderful. Lin Tian has experienced it many times. He always believes in this feeling and never doubts it. Even Shifu is very convinced. Just now that several hostile eyes, although the feeling is not very clear, but absolutely not false. Looking back, Lin Tian clearly felt the hostile smell in the eyes of the doctors. He couldn't help muttering. Are these goods jealous that Lao Tzu is more handsome than them? Or have a grudge against the old man? It's not like that. Forget it, it's important to save people. After a few glances, Lin Tian shook his head and ignored the hostility of the doctors. He turned to the beautiful steward and said, "Steward, I have a way to cure this patient. Please prepare some alcohol cotton balls for me. I want to use them." Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.